Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai, and welcome to the live stream of a Kōrero with the local body candidates for the 2022 local body elections. My name is Ivor Jones, and my family and I have been residents of Ōpōtiki since we moved here from Rotorua in 2011. As a resident that will be voting in this year's election on the 8th of October 2022, I was interested in asking the mayoral and council candidates to have a kōrero with me about who they are, why they have applied for the positions they have. I work in the digital media field, and the intention of this cast is to raise the awareness of the Ōpōtiki community in terms of the characteristics and qualities of those people seeking to serve the community. I have spoken directly to several candidates about this idea, and a number are positive, including our two guests today. Curley, Kino, and Courtney Andrews. Tēnā koe, ladies.
Tēnā koe, kia ora.
A YouTube channel exists that will hold the videos of our conversations so they can be referenced in the future. All candidates receive the same 10 questions, upon which our kōrero is based, which should be around 15 to 30 minutes in length, and I hope that you find it of value. I would like to welcome Curley and Courtney, otherwise known as Mum Buns, who are standing in the Waioeka Waiotahe, Rotorua and Ōpōtiki wards, where there are 5 councillors in total to be selected. Curley states that I am passionate about bringing positive change, transparency, and ensuring the voice of people is heard. Courtney says our connectedness forges opportunities to speak our truths of commonalities and differences. Conversations had will support the forging and consolidating towards growth. Tēnā kōrero, ladies. First question, who are you and why are you running in this election?
She's the tuakana, by the way.
Normally we roll out our diplomatic decisions through rock, paper, scissors. But in this case, I'll let Curley tell me what to do. So kia ora te whānau, ko Courtney Andrews toko ingoa, kei te nohoa hau ki whakatōhea, born, raised in Ōpōtiki, nestled under the hills. I'm a mama, I'm an educator, and somebody who's passionate about contextual learning, being outdoors, and just providing opportunities for our whānau to thrive, and that success being defined by them and not systemised. So, kia ora, that's
Cool.
me.
Thank you.
Tēnā koe, Ivor. Tēnā koutou, e whakarongo mai nei. E tuanau tōku mauritapu i te whakaruru hau o te upokore he whānui e koroi mata e. So my name is Curley Kino, and I am from the centre of the universe, Kutarere. I was born in Ōpōtiki, raised in Kutarere, and after 37 years, I'm still living in Kutarere. I am a wife to an awesome man from Tauranga Moana, Ngāi Te Rangi Ngā Te Rangi Nui, and we have 4 children. I'm very approachable, I'm likeable, I can be cool and funny, but at the same time, very professional. Thank you for this opportunity. Ngā mihi.
Kia ora, Curley. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing your community of Ōpōtiki?
I'll answer the first one and Courts can answer the next ones. But I think for me, it's quite evident that we do have a pea epidemic in Ōpōtiki. So I think methamphetamine use and distribution is a big issue in Ōpōtiki that the local council needs to support.
Yeah, I would probably tack on to that if this is okay. We have various funding pools coming into Ōpōtiki, so there's a real need for us to collaborate, to connect, and to be informed with how that expenditure of pūtea coming into the community manifests in ways to support our whānui.
Excellent, thank you. If elected, what do you hope to achieve by the end of your term?
For me, I would like to hope that residents of Ōpōtiki are comfortable enough to be able to take their issues without that fear of not being taken seriously or not acknowledged, so the issues to the local council table. I would hope to see engagement the engagement percentages, I don't know actually if there is a statistic on that, but I'd hope to see a lot more whānau and individuals engage in the business of local council and have an interest of it, as well as the voting numbers increased in our rohe, because I believe it was maybe 50%, 54% of Ōpōtiki voted in the last election.
Great, thank you. Courtney?
I mean, she's going to achieve a lot in 3 years. That's only 365 days a year, but you know, what's possible. For myself, I'm particularly interested in rebuilding the rangatahi portfolio. And when I say portfolio, it's in loose terms referencing to our rangatahi having a voice at the table and removing those current identified gaps by them for them to have engagement at the local council table. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also passionate about climate change. You know, what can we be doing now as a community to support local solutions for the better benefit, the hauora of Papatūānuku. Pretty passionate to see how the council can contribute to that space.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mum Buns page. How did that come about? I assume this is your main communication tool with your stakeholders, so you'd like to put everything through here. Tell me, how did it start? What's the idea behind it? And let's have a look at a few of the activities that you've been up to. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so the Mums Buns campaign is basically around trying to affirm that those who sit around the council table are everyday citizens of our community. And at the particular time when we were having discussions around whether we were going to lean into this space, we were kind of like, well, these are our commonalities, and this is a demographic that we feel would be hold potential to draw into the space. So we decided to capitalize on our motherhood, I say, capitalize on motherhood, and use it as a platform where we could kind of shape a sisterhood,
and
comfort,
encourage people to be brave.
Yeah,
because it was a brave thing for us, not only as mothers of young children, but also protectors, and we are your everyday person. And there's that perception out there in the community that you have to be a certain type of person to stand in the local body elections. And so my thought, like when Courtney and I were talking about it, which by the way, we only decided an hour before elections had closed to put our nomination forward, was that like, let's do this to break down barriers that, you know, you don't have to be this, you don't have to fit into this box to be able to have a voice at the table and represent others who not be confident and bold to do the same thing.
I think Toa, the page or the campaign leads with the notion of whakawhangangatanga, you know, going into a space as a collective where you can go, oh, this is a little bit scary, but when you've got somebody next to you, you know, and by all means, we don't agree on all things, but to have a space where we can whakawhiti te kōrero and say, come on, we've got this, you're all good. It's comforting.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. I'm always, I talk about this a bit while we're doing this podcast thing. Really encourage people to go and have a look at the website. I know that there's a digital divide in Ōpōtiki, but if you're able to get to the Ōpōtiki District Council website and have a look in here, here are the profiles of everyone who's applying, and here are the profiles of the two ladies. And if you have a look in here, you'll find their statement, which is pretty standard. It had to be a standard one that was set up. So I encourage you to go and have a look at everyone's profile.
Okay.
What do you think is the most important attribute that you both bring to the council table? Imagine that you're in council, you're sitting around the table. What's the most important attribute you bring to the group?
For me, it's a good listener. So is that I like to listen first to what's being said. So yeah, I think that's an attribute that's important, but that's an attribute also that I will be able to bring to the table.
Yeah, for myself, I'm a connector. You know, the big eye, seeing projects or pieces deconstructed and reconstructed is my jam. You know, where can we enhance? What can we do better? What can we add? What can we remove? Can we make bigger? So I think being able to pivot with a notion rather than having a set plan in front of me. Yeah, I think that's
cool.
That's something that adds value to the space.
Cool. Hey, what do you envisage when you're around that table and you disagree with people? How are you going to work it out?
Well, I would presume that the chair, in this case the mayor, would have the tools to be able to conflict resolve solutions like that. So I would be looking at the mayor for guidance around any disagreements around the table. But yeah, I to be honest, I wouldn't really know until we're presented with a particular issue. But I would take guidance from the mayor as the chair of those meetings.
Yeah, for me, it's a space to have a critical conversation. So we have to be prepared to bring our skills to participate in critical conversations. It's not something personal. It's a space where we want to get it right for the community. So we all have to be a little bit grown up and be prepared to have challenging conversations that many times we may disagree with, but it's around the unpacking, restacking, talking.
And then at the end of the day, we're doing and making decisions based on what the community want, not what we want personally. Although we take to the table maybe our own personal desires, but for me and for mum buns, at the end of the day, it's about what the community wants.
Well framed. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts around the role of local and central government? What could be improved?
For one, and we've had kōrero about this not only as mum buns, but some of you would know as well that we're standing as te reo hāpori with two other candidates, Louis Rapihana and Maud Maxwell. And so that was a campaign strategy, again, as manaakitanga and to help each other, as Louis, Courtney and I both went to school together, and Maud is our whanaunga. But one of the things that we would like to start a conversation in at local council level to hopefully deal to some of the issues that are presented by central government is to try and change the funding model. I know that it's going to be, it's not something that can be done overnight or even over one term, but that could be a solution, we believe, into the rates problems, because we're never going to be able to wipe out rates or lower rates. And with inflation, these days, rates are only going to get higher and higher. But if we look at, as a local council, the current funding model and reforming that, as well as the Local Government Act, then I think that could be like a bridge or a solution to help bridge those gaps with central government. Like, for example, when I talk about the funding model, looking at, as taxpayers, we pay a lot of tax, and we pay tax on our food. So why isn't it that the central government is putting all that tax there as residents of Ōpōtiki district? Why is it that they can't give us that tax for our district to be able to help with rubbish disposal? You see, we were talking about it last night, but plastic bottles being left lying around. But as ratepayers, we're having to pay that on top of paying taxes on food. So why can't we as local government try and push towards reframing or reforming that model?
The mysteries of accounting, I think it's called, Curley. The mysteries of accounting in terms of where does the money go? and how, yes, I contribute taxes and all different sorts of tax. So can I pull this tax money out that I've contributed and put it towards that pool of funding? There's always that tension about you as a resident wanting your money to go into particular initiatives. But I guess that's why you're going to be elected as a councillor, because you'll get to decide all of those things.
Yeah, and that could be like a starting discussion. Things have to start somewhere. And well, I don't think it started at local government level yet in terms of the funding model. But that's something that I'd be interested in looking at. And us as a hapori to believe that funding model needs to change.
I think to kind of what we're saying is around that table, you need to be thinking as a mokopuna, but acting as a tipuna. And that's one of those kind of whakaaro that aligns to that action.
Making mokopuna decisions, eh?
Yeah, very different way of thinking about the whole world, isn't it? All right, natural disaster. You're a councillor. There's an earthquake at 2 a.m. The tidal wave hits Ōpōtiki. You get the phone call. The phones are still working. You get a phone call. What are you going to do as the councillor?
Well, I would hope that civil defence would get onto it, because I do believe that they do get warning about that. So, and operations, there are people who take portfolios, who would be able to guide us as councillors in terms of whether or not a natural disaster is going to hit in 20 minutes or a day. So as a councillor, I would naturally take the lead by those in operations. And help our whānau and our people as much as possible.
It's about what we would do before the natural disaster, I feel, at the governance table, like within that long-term plan.
So are the systems in place? What does the long-term plan look like? And then,
civil defence, yes.
Yeah.
And that, I think it's really important for our people to understand the difference between that governance role and an operation role. And that's not to say that, God, we wouldn't be helping out where we could, because that's just our flavour, right? But in terms of our role as a councillor,
what our roles and responsibilities are, it's all exactly what he says, preempting. And well, we would hope that the council has got it right before that stage.
I've brought this up with other candidates that I've talked to, and the metaphor has been used of the tail wagging the dog, as in management not listening to what councillors want them to do. How do you plan to connect with all parts of the community to ensure your voices are heard?
Yeah, engagement and consultation is an important thing for me. We're doing it at the moment with our campaigning, is that we're not waiting for whānau or individuals to come to us at a meet and greet candidate evening, but we're going out into those communities. We started our campaign trail last week, where we spent 2 days down on the coast, so between Pōtaka and Ōmaio, meeting with our whānau, and then we were at Wātahi School meeting with voters in that area of the ward. We've been to Omaramitu School. We've also been to the Apanui Lounge here on Church Street, but a strategy to engage with all peoples is to go out to them.
Yeah, great. I liked your initiative a couple of nights ago. It'd be really cool if you ran that again. You had some good engagement there, and we were able to answer some questions. So that was really nice to see.
Thank you.
Tonight we're actually planning on having some rangatahi join us in live, hopefully from future leaders, where they watched our last live and they had some questions, and I suppose want to hold us accountable to some of those things that we said. So we said, hi mate, hey, let's set it up, let's roll.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, here's the last question. Elected members must act in the best interests of their community and declare any interests that could be perceived as a conflict to being impartial. Do you have any interests that could be perceived as a conflict to being impartial?
Do you want to go first? Because I'd probably take a while.
You've got a lot to declare, do you? I mean, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because really everybody should be slightly conflicted,
yeah.
because my whakaaro is that if we're acting on behalf of the community, already we're conflicted.
Yeah.
You know, we want to do best by our people, so it's a lot of voices to be representing and not have a confliction. But
So you
and
can
a
wear-
linear answer is no, there's no conflictions. Hey, that's the straight lace answer.
Well, and again, it'll be a case by case situation. If we're presented with a kaupapa, say for example, a kaupapa that's involving upokorehe, I'll be conflicted because I'm an active member of upokorehe, hapu and iwi and roimata marae. Talking about Voices for Freedom. So I am a member of Voices for Freedom, and I am not, I support the kaupapa of the Freedoms and Rights Coalition. It's no secret, the Beacon and Ōpōtiki News printed it the other week, but I am also a member of Destiny Church. And I don't know any situations publicly where there hasn't been any conflict involving Destiny Church. It's a nationwide thing. But yeah, I think too, it depends on what the cases are that are brought before us.
No, excellent. Thank you very much.
It's a small town. I was going to say it's a small town related to nearly every person. My mum, my dad's mum is from Waioweka, so if there's a decision involving a footpath or whatever, then that could be a conflict.
Yes.
Waramutu, they're wanting a footpath,
and a bus shelter
signs.
We as Māori have many hats, you know, depending which area you're in, and how far you go back in your whakapapa, you can step into that area and you can claim that, and then you can wander into somewhere else and you can claim that as long as you know.
Everybody else said no, though.
Yeah, Did everybody else say no?
People have declared, yes, people have stated whether they do have conflicts of interest or not. And I tend to labour and explore this question. And there is, on the website, there are guides there, you know, to help people try and make a decision around whether it's a conflict or not. So I'm particularly interested in this. And thank you for being open and transparent around who you're standing for, well, what values you're standing for. And if you're standing for those organisations, kei te pai, just be upfront about it. Is it a strong connection? Is it not so strong? Are you right into it? Are you not? And just be clear and transparent about it so that people know who they get.
That's too neat. It's about bringing your whole self to the mahi to a
Yeah. Thank you, Curley and Courtney, for giving me your time and sharing your story as you work to become councillors in Ōpōtiki for 2022. Thank you to whānau for tuning in. I hope that you are now more informed about our candidates and that this has helped you to make an informed decision when you vote on the 8th of October. Thank you very much, ladies, for coming in and sharing your thoughts. Ngā mihi.
Awesome, thank you. And just a reminder that voting forms will be issued today. Yeah,
Today.
So if you haven't received them within a week, then contact the local council.
Great.
Kia ora, ngā mihi.